this is your June 2023 soul story. If you have a sun rising or your moon is in the sign, this is your reading for the month ahead. It's Romy. Thanks so much for taking the time to join me and support the channel. We're going to be opening up this month with the energy of the messenger of earth. And this is the part of the story where you need to trust yourself. It might not be easy, and there's certainly a sense of dedication and devotion, but you're going to be incredibly determined, especially early on in the month where we see the full moon coming into your sign. And it's really going to draw your focus. You're going to be ready to deal with something and just show up with the right energy and attitude. And I think you'll want to take it all the way. Now, of course, we also have this trine at the full moon with Mars in fellow fire sign Leo. So again, there's something here that, is really moving you. It's coming from this heart place. And, in Gemini season, of course, it's 7th house and it's that mirror time for you. So, there might be something that's showing up that perhaps you have been avoiding, but also something like really key contained in the dynamic of your relationships, and perhaps not, just one single person, but you might be seeing or witnessing like a pattern that's playing out with multiple people. And again, there's something around this full moon where you get to kind of reconcile what's been going on. You get to sort of set this new horizon for yourself, and you really are going to turn a corner. You're really going to turn a corner. You have to keep your sense of humor through the course of June, because I think that the universe is going to work in some kind of obscure and perhaps slightly unconventional ways, and at times it's really going to be bringing in like this cosmic nudge, all of which is meant to help support like a better sense of balance and reciprocity for you, and actually to put you in a position where you're going to be able to draw on more support. I think there's maybe been something that you've been trying to go it alone, or you've been feeling it, it's been difficult to try to get the right type of people or energies around you. Now, Venus is going to move into Leo on the 5th, right after that full moon. And here we have, beautiful big gestures, a lot of heart and passion and energy coming in, particularly in our relationships and how we're dealing with our prosperity consciousness, our money stories, and how we value ourselves. Now, there's something worth noting in that Venus in Leo is going to go retrograde in July, and so we'll be in shadow from the 19th. So anything that's really kind of taking place in this first part of June pertaining to these themes, you want to keep a close eye on, because I think you've got some incredibly powerful alliances coming in relation to this, but what we might feel is like a match made in heaven over the next few weeks, and really from July through September. You might have to go through some turbulence and kind of wonder really whether you made the right decision. It might feel a bit disruptive, even some slight disappointment. However, I think it's something that will be deeply valuable and help ultimately to strengthen the clarity of what it is that you're really looking for in that interaction and partnership, whether it be professional, personal, platonic, however it's showing up for you. And you really want to kind of come at this from a place of like, what am I being shown about the state of my relationships in general, because there'll be key themes that are going to be coming up. So pay attention to what shows up in this first part of June. I think there's going to be a lot of optimism and positivity, a lot of beautiful gestures, and a lot of things that feel like they're coming together wonderfully. And, this is not anything that we want to discard over the next few weeks. It's just to be aware that you are definitely going to be revisiting some things when we move more into that sort of shadow energy. Now, Mercury is going to shift into Gemini on the 11th. And so, as we work through this dualistic, mutable energy in the first part of the month, air and fire does ignite. And so the ignition can also cause at times like, that drama. It can cause like bringing things to the surface that again, we have to deal with, and perhaps it's not always pleasant. And sometimes those upsets or those moments where, we need to address something that, has to be healed within us, we can want to put off or delay. And I think the universe is going, nope, this is the right time, honestly, because you just have the right energy to be able to kind of really look at the situation from a slightly different perspective. And I think that's where that full moon will be super supportive for you. There's also this requirement to release. And, Mercury and Gemini, we certainly are able to articulate and communicate ourselves more easily. And that's important, especially if you have things on your mind and in your heart, and they've really been causing some pain points for you. And perhaps you felt again that there haven't been the right people showing up or there, or really anyone who's truly understanding what it is that you've been going through. So the release energy is incredibly cathartic for you, and it will help you to make some adjustments in your life that I think will allow you to recognize that, okay, there are still some very complicated situations, but they can still coexist really beautifully with a newfound sense of clarity and peace for you. And certainly trauma is not your resting place. So whatever it is that is surfacing around that Three of Swords that might sort of feel like it's catching your breath almost, maybe even coming in a little bit unexpectedly. I feel like the whole theme of this month for you is turning a corner. Yeah, turning a corner and having the determination to kind of pull that through. Sometimes your darkness will challenge you in ways that your light never can, and that matters because, of course, we need both. We need to face something in order to be free of it, and I see you being able to do that. And as you are moving in that direction, you come out the other side feeling more empowered and actually more rich in the experiences of recognizing how you've collected the love, the memories, and the moments that are worth still holding on to and still kind of recognizing like their value. Now, the Queen of Fire coming through here also tells me there's something that you're just ready to birth, you're ready to bring out into the world. It's like a new perspective, it's something you've been working on, it's something that you're ready to share. And I do think that the timing is good for you in June. We do need to be aware that Saturn is going to go retrograde on the 17th, and here we do have to start revisiting commitments and reviewing those boundaries and long-term visions. And you might find that, as you're in the midst of all of this, which feels really exciting and actually much more kind of aligned to you feeling more like yourself and finding your flow again, that you also at the same time have to be aware of where a boundary needs to be reasserted with somebody in your life. I feel like you've already done this. We're having to go back again and remind somebody that this is what it's this is what it's gonna take in order to have any kind of interaction or communication or connection with this person. So I see you being able to do that and put it in a way that, ensures like any kind of a relapse of anything isn't going to derail you. I think you also do it with compassion, and I think that is important, because perhaps that other individual, there's not necessarily like ill intent, but I just think there's a laziness or a chance to just try to inveigle or to kind of, fall back. And you're here as a teacher and a guide in this moment as much as anything else, yeah? Now remember that Spirit talks to us in a language that we understand in the context of what our own reality is. And so you're going to get some really beautiful signs this month that will make absolutely no sense to anybody else, but for you they will be incredibly meaningful. And around that 17th, we're also going to welcome the new moon in Gemini. Judgment comes through because there's something quite life-changing about what happens to you in this mid part of June. I think all of a sudden, like the penny drops, something lands for you and you're like, okay, no more. This is the time. And this is where it sits, and this is where I'm determined to kind of make this change or adjustment, or to see this through. And it's almost like a mini rebirth, and it's kind of wrapped around the ideas of really trying to bring in a better sense of balance for yourself, but also to kind of give you the opportunity to show up more as yourself than you've ever been, and in order to kind of keep radiating and resonating with the love, the respect, the honesty, the integrity that you want to live and you want people to live by if they're going to be a part of your life, then you're also kind of addressing where you're accepting any sort of behavior that isn't measuring up to these values that, to be honest, should just be the day-to-day kind of way that you know, people want to sort of show up for themselves in this world, you know, and it's not always the case, sadly. So the new moon in Gemini, I think, is sparking something incredibly powerful for you. And it'll be fascinating to see how this actually unfolds for you over the next 6 months. And when we arrive at that full moon in Gemini coming through into your solar returns, I think you're set to really look back and actually see how much of a catalyst for change this was, and how different a place you're going to find yourself in emotionally, mentally, even physically, kind of the environments around you, the people that you're connected to. Like, it just feels like you've got quite a big overhaul that's sort of setting itself into motion. And, you know, it doesn't have to all be done all at once, but I think as we move deeper into, you know, all of the retrograde energies through the course of the next few months, you know, you will be going back and making these course corrects and life edits in a much more emphatic and direct and assertive way than perhaps you ever have. Now, I want to call out the 19th of June. We've got this really strong aspect as Jupiter will sextile to Saturn. And even though it's a bit disruptive as we move into the Saturn retrograde, and it can feel like things are starting to slow down a little bit, and that's a bit conflicted as it's with the new moon in Gemini that's kind of like a rocket that just wants to move so quickly. But what happens on that 19th is we have the strength to overcome any kind of problems, any adversity, and we're setting a new plan into motion with this Two of Fire. And I like, you know, you're on top of the giraffe here, which is telling me that, again, the approach you're taking is quite unorthodox. It's a little bit different. It's very unique and quirky, but it really represents something about you that you're ready to share or express with the world. Or even it looks at a situation where everything else has not worked and you've tried so many different approaches and everyone else's methodology, and now you're going to create something that just comes intuitively from a heart place, and you're just going to be like, this is the way I have to go, because nothing else so far has really aligned or, you know, brought me what I was expecting or anticipating. So that Jupiter sextile to Saturn is just kind of what it is that you need to just be able to persevere and sort of put something into motion and initiate something. And, you know, that's then going to lead us beautifully up to Solstice, which is happening on the 21st as the sun goes into Cancer. We have the asteroid goddess Ceres moving into Libra. We have Mercury sextile to Mars. Beautiful lineup once again this year for Solstice. This dance between the light and the dark, this moment of stillness to reflect and to regulate yourself and really align with things that are feeling like they're much more important for you. And of course, you're going to be moving into 8th house energy. And so there's an intimacy and a requirement to get personal with something. Now, I feel like there might be a little discomfort as we move toward the end of June for you. And it's only because, again, we're feeling a little bit exposed in some area. And that's the universe, this cosmic nudge coming through and saying, keep going. Like, we have to sometimes go through like the more uncomfortable terrain to sort of end up in this bigger horizon of possibility that we're meant to be at. Okay, so keep this in mind, that, you know, that energy of Cancer is going to challenge you in some areas, and particularly past decisions and choices that you've made, and really reflect on that. Now, there's never a right or wrong. You know, it's only ever about an experience. But what we are able to then do as we look back, especially when Neptune goes retrograde on the 30th, because we take the rose-tinted glasses off and all of a sudden we get a bit of a cold, hard reality check in regards to something. And in relation to that, I feel like you're going to realize that, you know, where you've been trying to persevere or push or gloss over something or accept something, the terms are just no longer an option. And you have to be really true to yourself. So whether that means a severing or a releasing yourself from some sort of agreement, commitment, contract, you know, a discussion on, you know, what's going to take place by way of this separation. I feel like there's something along these lines that might be discussed, or it's coming up, you know, to be explored through the next few weeks. But ultimately, there's also going to be a deep sense of relief coming in for you. You know, remember what I'm saying. This is a month of, you know, turning a corner. And you are coming into contact with some powerful new people. Powerful, yes, in their position for some, but, you know, powerful just in the influence that they have in your life, how they help you to see yourself, how they help you to kind of tap into something unexplored, some sort of potential, and actually how you're able to like yourself a lot more. It's interesting, you know, we can talk about like self-love and we can do all the things to kind of nurture and take care of ourselves, but on a day-to-day basis, do you like who you are? And you're being challenged in this in some regard through the month of June. People showing up though to help you kind of see yourself in a new light, but that's really positive because I think there's a lot more laughter and humor and not taking yourself and life so seriously that's also going to be kind of peppering your path through the course of this month. So if you're new to the channel, we do cover the last 3 cards in our extended reading. I'll be talking for about 25-30 minutes to just go much deeper into this month and see what additional messages want to come through. You'll find the link for that in the comment and description box underneath. You can also check out like your sun, rising, moon across all signs, so you can get all 12 for a discounted price as well. I'm going to go ahead and just pull some clarifiers and see if there's going to be a sort of shift in the direction of where we might be taking this reading. So we've got the 8 of Wands coming up like this, and the Emperor. There's a sense of you kind of regaining control a little bit. Magician. You're just ready to deal with something, perhaps more than one thing. I think you'll really have that sense of being able to get an awful lot done in a shorter period of time. The Chariot, moving on from that heartbreak. Beautiful. Leaves its mark though. Okay, Queen of Fire. We've got Page of Swords. Now this month my soul meditations, I'm focusing on resistance to timelines. So it's a really interesting journey that we'll be taking to kind of explore your relationship with traditional linear concept of time. And we're also going to explore major life changes and how to navigate these, which with the energy of judgment coming through for you, I think might be really helpful. You can also receive a beautiful solstice meditation this month to support you with your rituals. So all of these links again in the comment and description box underneath, and of course you'll see my Life Soul Vision Oracle and my book Moon Musings are shown here, so if you enjoy my work please check out these creations. Okay, a little bit of interference coming on through these cards. I do feel, like I said, you are going to be in a position where you're gonna have to like really put some boundaries, like reassert some boundaries again. It'll be worth it though. Okay, so this is Life Soul Vision, which is my deck, so let's go ahead and just also clarify with this. Casting out constellations, this is the way, this is the work. We have Mirrors of the Mind. Now there's more asteroid goddess energy shifting sign this month. We also have Juno moving into Cancer and Vesta shifting into Gemini on the 22nd, right after Solstice. So again, if you want to see how these affect you in your personal natal chart, you can check out my goddess reports. Lovely. Got the wishing tree coming through for you. We also had the 9 of Cups, so something really nice coming in for you actually in the month of June. Not before time. I feel like it's been on the horizon for a long time. You know, you might have been feeling like, when is this actually gonna land? But something coming in. Okay, let's have a look at the Enchanted Map Oracle. Okay, we have Deep Freeze. And I want to really reference this. We'll go into it in the extended, but I'm going to reference this back to the Venus and Leo retrograde energy, especially with it being the Lion kind of going to sleep there. So it's that sort of slowdown and that review and that kind of standstill that might then come up after you've been sort of powering forward with what shows up in these big gestures with Venus at the first part of June. And we also have Pallas Athena coming up as the asteroid energy for you. Okay, Sagittarius, thank you so much for joining me. I hope this will be valuable for your month ahead. Really look forward to continuing this conversation with the extended. We'll also cover a personal question for you that might not have come up in the main reading. We'll do a relationship advice card, as well as return to this main reading for much more in-depth analysis. I will talk to you soon and see you again next time you take it.